planes.
Well, not yet.
Not yet, yes, there's still time.
Tell us about your 5th studio album and what inspired this offering.
The project started during lockdown, actually. It started a while back. Putting it together, you know, recording. I recorded with Dr. Sipho from Native Rhythms.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, I traveled to Mozambique. I recorded there again as well, came back, recorded. So it's been like a recording process until I felt, okay, this is the sound that I want. This is the direction that I'm going for. And I'm ready to showcase it to the audience, yeah.
I mean, being born in Mozambique and then you moved to South Africa, how much of the South African influence is reflected in this offering?
It's actually the other way around. I was born in South Africa and I have Mozambican parents.
Oh, okay.
So my blood is definitely Mozambican and my entire life has been South African. So my influence definitely comes from home, from my parents, from my family every time I go back to Mozambique. And sometimes it doesn't matter really where you were born, but who you are will always call you. You know, so I always felt the urge to want to go back and reconnect with my people, reconnect with my roots, and just feel an overall feel of who I am entirely.
And I see that you took a music hiatus or a music break for quite a while. Why did you break? I mean, why did you take a break? And has that break helped you, you know, invigorate yourself and preparing yourself for the bigger things that you are doing right now?
I look at it like this. My craft and my gift is something that is very personal to me. In as much as it's a career and it's a job, I felt that if I'm going to give my best, I need to be at my best. So at that moment, I just felt like I needed to do some self-searching, you know, find exactly what is it that I want to do, what's the sound. And also because I started singing since I was in school. So I had been doing this for so long. At some point, I felt like, what am I doing? What is it that I'm going to do that is, you know, obviously a little bit different, but also something that represents some kind of growth and tell some kind of story of from then until now, what is it that I'm saying and what is it that I want to be remembered as.
As much as this new offering is a reflection of your personal journey, I mean, you're taking your fans down your own journey that you want to reflect on, that you know, you want to share with the rest of the world. But just in greater detail, what is this album all about? I mean, what is it, what do you sing about?
The album, the reason I call it Roots is because it's an album that represents my story. It represents my roots. And sometimes people associate roots with your traditional and, you know, your very African sound. But my story is different. My story is different. I was born and raised in South Africa. I have such a highly South African influence. Even in the music that I sing. I worked with Dr. Sipho and I sing in Zulu. You know what I mean? I'm not Zulu, it's Zulu, you know? And that's the influence that I have. Growing up here, having to learn languages that are not entirely mine, but because I have to adapt in a space that speaks the languages, I sometimes have to infiltrate that into my art and into my music. So I sing in Portuguese as well, because that's the language that I grew up to at home. My mom automatically speaks to me in Portuguese, and that's how I learn Portuguese. I sing in Bitonga, which is my parents' home language from Nyambane in Mozambique. So I'm a very multicultural person in a sense of the pieces of me that make who Wanda is, and that's my roots, and that's my story.
And apart from being multicultural, you're also multifaceted. I mean, I mentioned all the other things that you do. So how did the fashion line come into the picture?
I have no idea. The one thing I do know is that I've always had a passion for looking good. So I always made sure that whatever I put it together in my way that makes sense to me in my eyes. And through that, I had a lot of people come to me and say, wow, this is beautiful. How can we get this? Can we buy this? You know, can we have some kind of access to this? So I was like, okay, at first I was doing it for myself. So I was like, I want to dress the way I want to dress. If I don't find it in the shop, I'm going to get it and make it myself. So from that, it grew to a brand.
And as you were chilling and having a you moment, what comes first in your mind? Is it ideas for your fashion, or is it lyrics for your music?
I think they all work together somehow.
Is it?
I mean, the first impression...
Because it is art after all.
Yes, and as a performer, the first thing an audience sees is what you look like. You know what I mean? So when I say, I'm going to Morning Live, what am I going to wear?
Right.
That is the first thing.
That's the first thing that we see before you even open your mouth.
Exactly. So it all works together.
Okay. And, I mean, what is your first love? I know it's a very unfair question to ask.
No, it is fair. It's very fair. My first love is music.
Is music?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
music.
Okay. And which single will you be releasing for this album?
This one is a tricky one, but I'm going to be doing a snippet of new songs, obviously. But so far, it's between Foshtenbara and Could It Be.
Okay. And which song would you say really made you who you are?
I think my first song, obviously. It's my first album, my first baby, the first time I ever opened my mouth and sang and recorded something that has my name on it entirely. And it's the first song that most people will resonate and identify me with. So yeah, my first album, Gentle Rain, is my first song.
And just looking back and listening to some of your work, would you say that you are entirely happy with it? Or would you say at some point that you would have done better here and there?
I don't like to put blame on anything that is supposed to be organic and natural.
Sure.
So if it happened in that way,
it was meant
I
to
did
happen.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it.
Okay.
So the only thing I can do is obviously craft my skills and my music in a better way that I feel that, okay, it could be better in terms of where I come from or what I've done, but I will never fault anything that I've done before. Yeah.
All right, Wanda, lovely chatting to you. Hey?
Lovely chatting.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Great stuff. We just spoke to award-winning musician Wanda Baloyi. We discussed some of her landmarks in her career and her new album titled Roots. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back shortly.